Audio Jungle.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I know it's been a while since you've seen my face, since you've heard my voice, so welcome back. If you are a regular person who listens to my podcast, if you're new, hello, I'm Tiffany, and today I'm going to be doing a movie review on the new Avatar movie, Avatar 2: The Way of Water. So I kind of was thinking about maybe kind of going back to doing like TV reviews or doing like episode by episode thing, but I just had to talk about this movie. I do want to try to get back into TV because I feel like that's the kind of the premise of my podcast. That's what I started this with, and that's kind of what I had in mind, but I have since pivoted to films a lot more, I think. And I that kind of just naturally happened. I didn't really plan for that to happen. Just because one, I didn't want to keep talking about the same things over and over and make it boring for you guys. But I also just have found myself, I think, this year kind of watching more films than I think I did maybe in the beginning of the year or last year. And I've been able to go to the movies a few times. Obviously, we couldn't do that back in 2020 because everything was closed down. And then the following year, I just didn't, it just felt weird to try to go out and do like normal things again. So I think now that things have opened back up, especially movie theaters, I feel like it's kind of fun to be able to go back and do that again. So I I'm just trying to enjoy the simple things, and so I think going to the movies is like one of those things that's like you don't get to do it all the time. So when you do, it just feels nice to be able to kind of watch a movie and get lost in it and kind of forget about whatever's going on in the outside world. So I'm glad I've been able to do that more this year. Because I think prior to 2022, I think the last time I went to the theaters was maybe to see It Chapter 2, which was like 2019. So that was obviously pre pandemic times, which is just crazy to think about. So I've been able to see some pretty good films this year, and Avatar is definitely like one of the top. I would say one of the top films that I've seen this year. It's obviously still playing in theaters, so if you have not seen it, I highly recommend to go and see it. And I really, to be honest, I really don't think you need to know all of what happened in the first one to enjoy the film. And I'm talking from experience because, yes, I did see the first one, but keep in mind the first one came out in 2009. And so I was entering high school that year, and I'm 27 now. So if you kind of think about that, it's been a really, really long time for since the first ones came out. And I think, for the most part nowadays, when you have a sequel, it's usually like the next year or maybe like 2 years later, maybe three, but for it to go like 10 plus years is a really long time. And, but I think it was I think it was well worth the wait. And obviously, um, they wanted to take time to do the movie right and to have the technology to do it. And, clearly I think clearly they delivered on what they wanted to do. And they, meaning like the director, James Cameron, and everybody who was involved in the film. So yeah, let's kind of jump into it. I feel like I kind of already have, but, um, so I had saw the trailer for it initially when I went to go see Black Panther 2, and I was like, "Oh, that looks pretty good," Like I kind of forgot, like this sounds bad, but I kind of forgot that like Avatar existed. I kind of forgot. I don't want to say I forgot about the movie, but that's just something I hadn't seen or thought about in a really long time because it's been so long since the first movie. But I saw the trailer, and I did kind of hear a little bit prior to that that they were coming out with the second one, but I really was not thinking anything of it. So when I saw the trailer, I was like, "Oh, this looks pretty good. Like I might actually want to go see that." So got lucky and got 3D tickets. I haven't seen a 3D movie in forever. With my mom and my cousin, and all three of us enjoyed it. And I think we all three were on the same page as far as like we don't really remember what happened in the first one, but that's okay. We want to go see this one anyway. And like I said, I don't think you even really need to have seen the first one or to remember the first one. Now, maybe there's probably some little things that we did miss, I will say, because we didn't go back and rewatch the first one, but I still think it's a movie that you can enjoy. I think it's a movie that the whole family can enjoy. And it's actually, there's a lot of good like action scenes. So if that's your thing, you'll really enjoy it. And I think, There's a lot of like emotional scenes, and I found that again, a lot of the movies that I've watched this year, specifically in theaters or like on Netflix, a lot of them have had like it's been like really emotional, you know. And I again, I'm not purposely doing that. That's just kind of what ends up happening when I watch these movies because I go into it not knowing what's going to happen, of course. And so yeah, like Avatar 2, Black Panther 2, the Pinocchio movie that I talked about in a previous episode. If you haven't seen that one, again, highly recommend checking that out. That's on Netflix. And you know, you think Pinocchio, that's a kids movie, but it was really good, you guys. It was really good, and I talked about that in one of my podcast episodes. So, you know, after this episode, you can go back and watch that if you missed it. And then you know this. I'm sure, and then you know, I went to go see Nope in theaters over the summer. That was more of a science fiction film, but again, there was like some emotional moments, and it definitely wasn't all just like trying to scare you type of thing. Like that was a really there was a lot of like deeper meanings to every movie that I feel like I've watched this year, and there's been a lot of like adult themes and just dealing with like life and grief and loss. And I really enjoyed every movie that I've seen, but I just find that like each movie I'm getting emotional. And I think part of that too is just because like this year has been really up and down for me. I went through a lot of changes. There's been a lot of like unpredictable things happening, both good and bad. And so I feel like maybe that's why too, watching some of these movies it hits really hard when they're talking about loss and grief and just going through life and how it can take you from like point A to point Z, and it's just crazy. um but yeah, I feel like I've really resonated with all of these movies and stuff. So specifically with Avatar, um, you know, I'm gonna keep this spoiler free. It is a really long movie. It's about like three. I don't want to say three and a half, but it's a little over 3 hours. So just keep that in mind if you go to see it. But again, it's still a really good movie. It kept me entertained, and I was interested pretty much the whole 3 hours. You know, so so yeah, a lot happens in the movie, and there are some, like I said, there are some really emotional parts, and I won't say what happens. Because I feel like, you know, it's still new, it's still out in theaters, so I know there's still some people that want to see it. But it definitely got me tearing up, and I think it even made my mom, my cousin, tear up as well, and I'm sure there was other people in the theater feeling the same way. And then the fact that it was 3D too was like, you know, how 3D movies are when it just feels like you're in the movie. Like it feels like you're right there with the characters, and everything is just like right in front of you. So that heighten the experience as well. So I think if you're going to go see it, I would recommend going to see it in 3D or in IMAX. I know a lot of people like to see, you know, really big like blockbuster movies in IMAX because apparently that's like the best way to see it. I usually don't see movies in IMAX, but I know with Nope, they specifically made that movie with IMAX cameras. So the cinematography was on point, and I would definitely say the same thing with Avatar. Like, I mean, I wasn't expecting it not to be, because if you've watched the first one, considering the year, you know, it came out in 2009, and but the cinematography and just the CGI effects, and you know, you could tell that they used like the best technology that they had for the time. And so I think they really utilize that well, and because it's called The Way of Water, I'm sure you can imagine that there's a lot of scenes with the characters being in the water. And it kind of reminded me of like Black Panther 2 in that way, where there was a lot of water scenes, I'll say, without giving anything away. But I would say specifically those were my favorite scenes, just because the water looked so real, and there was a lot of moments where the characters were interacting with like sea animals, and even that was emotional too. You know, you don't think it would be, but it was. And I really love those scenes. I think those were like the best scenes in Avatar. And I'm sure like the actors that were a part of the movie, I'm sure they had to train for it. I'm sure it was not easy learning how to like deep dive and hold your breath for so many minutes and everything like that. So, you know, kudos to everybody that was a part of the movie, because I'm sure it wasn't easy. And just for, you know, how long it took for the second one to come out, it ended up being really, really good. So from what I've read, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but from what I've read, it passed 382 million at domestic box office. I'm not sure what the count is right now, like worldwide, like international. I won't be surprised if it hits billions, because I think the first one was like the most, allegedly. I don't want to say this for sure, but I think the first one was like made like the most a movie has ever made in theaters. I could be wrong. Let me know if you guys know what the stats are, because I really don't know. But they're saying from Collider, I was reading a little bit on Collider and a lot of like the movie review sites, they were saying that it might surpass Top Gun Maverick, which is supposed to be or is like the top movie this year, with the movie with Tom Cruise. Have not seen that movie. I don't really know what it's about, but I'm pretty sure it's an action movie. So they're saying it might surpass that. So I guess they're waiting on like, like New Year's Eve this weekend, people are going to go to the movies, of course. And so they're counting that with like Christmas weekend, which is when I went to go see it. I actually saw it on Christmas Day. And then, the weekend, I think it officially was released December 16th. So that first weekend, they have to count all that. And then I guess we'll find out, how much it made all together. But yeah, I'm definitely not surprised that it's already like going to be one of the top movies this year, right up there with Black Panther 2, with Top Gun Maverick. And then I'm not sure what other movies are going to be. There's a lot of movies that came out this year that I didn't see. Like, I did get to go to the movies quite a bit, but there's a lot that I didn't see. So I'm hoping to see more next year. I'm already looking forward to maybe possibly going to see Megan in theaters next month, which is a horror movie. Don't ask me why I'm even going to put myself through that. But I don't know. I just think it would be fun to go and see. And again, it would give me more content for you guys to listen to. And I could do more movie reviews if you guys are into that kind of thing. I enjoy doing them. But like I did say in the beginning, I do kind of want to get back into talking about TV. So hopefully, like when a lot of the shows that I watch are off of hiatus, I'll have a lot of like TV content discussions to give you guys for next year. And I'm hoping to get people on as guests, so that way maybe it'll be more interactive. And when I say guests, I don't mean like, it doesn't have to be somebody that is a part of the TV show or that works on the TV show. Although that would be amazing. I would love to do that, to be able to talk to people that work behind the scenes, but also like just regular fans like you, like me. It doesn't have to be anybody famous. Like, anybody can be a guest on this podcast. I'm not limiting it to anything like that. As long as you're knowledgeable about whatever the topic is for the episode, then you can be on. So please don't be afraid to hit me up or let me know that you want to be on. If you know I'm, going to be talking about a certain TV show or movie and you're like, "Oh my goodness, I have to get in on that discussion." Let me know and we could hook it up and you could be on the podcast. So I'm hoping to get a little bit more of that. That's kind of going to be one of my goals for the podcast next year. Um, but yeah, anyway, back to the movie. So I don't really remember like a lot of the characters' names. Um, but I will say I think some of my favorite characters in the movie was definitely the two girls, the sisters. So if you've seen the movie, if you kind of know, um, I hope this isn't giving it away, but basically Jake Sully and um Natiri have a family in the second one, and they have four kids, two of them boys, two girls. And so the two girls are like the younger ones, and I don't know, I just really like their characters. I love the brothers as well. I think there's one brother in particular, and I won't say which one, that had a little bit more of a spotlight on him, I think, in the movie. Um that I really liked, but I just really like the sisters. I think there was something really special about those characters, and I think the little sister in particular was funny. She had some like good lines, and then the older sister was just, without giving anything away, she was very different compared to the rest of her siblings, and I liked that they showed that, because I feel like they're definitely setting it up to kind of explore that a bit more in Avatar 3. So if you guys didn't know, there is going to be a 3 and a 4. That I think they're already, either they're already filming Avatar 3 or they already have filmed Avatar 3, and it's probably in like, post production or something. I'm not too sure about that, but I know that they said they're definitely working on more movies. So if Avatar 3 comes out next year, that will definitely be a movie that I want to go see as well. And then, we can talk about it on the podcast. But yeah, I would say the two sisters were like my favorite characters. Of course, I love, you know, Sully's character and Nateri. I hope I'm saying her name right. But if you guys seen the movie, you already know what I'm talking about. I love both of them, but I love like the kids. I love that it was like them as a family. The whole movie. Obviously, they didn't have the family in the first one. They had. I don't even remember if in the first one they had gotten together or if it wasn't until the second one that they became a couple. But I remember in the first one that I don't think they really liked each other when they first met or like when they first kind of like had interactions with each other. So what a journey for them to have gone from it's kind of like an enemies to friends to lovers type trope. And I really like those types of stories as well because it's really good like it's good character development, but it's just like it just takes you on this journey, and I'm excited to see what they do with the third one. Like I said, now that they have a family, and I think the stakes are higher because now they're not just protecting each other; they have to protect their children, and that's kind of really, I would say, what this whole second movie was about was really like protecting their family. And fighting against anybody that like threatened their peace or their safety, and then them um the whole, like I said, talking about it being involved with like water and everything like that. It's because they traveled to a different region of Pandora, and again, it was to keep their family safe, to kind of get away from this threat. And then they kind of had to pretty much learn a new way of life. And again, it was kind of similar to Black Panther 2, where like, the villain in that movie was like the whole nation of people in Black Panther 2 was like underwater. And so obviously there was a lot of water scenes in that one. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed with both movies. And somebody asked me, I think it was my sister that asked me which movie did I like better. And I think I said Black Panther 2, but honestly I don't know. Like it's hard because they're different movies, obviously completely different storylines, different characters, but I enjoy both. So it's hard to say. I might it probably depends on when you ask me. I might have a different response for that. But anyway, before I continue talking about the film, I did want to remind you guys that my podcast is sponsored by Streann Media. If you don't know what Streann Media is, if you've never heard of it or anything like that, you can check them out at studio.streann.com. So if you like to create content, if you want to have your own podcast or do live streaming like me, you could do it yourself as well. Just go to the website. They'll ask you for your email, and then once you put that in, you'll get a login code and then you're in. So it is free. Anybody can use it, and then you'll be able to see all the cool features that they have. So sometimes I try to come on here and show you guys what I see from my end, because obviously I know you guys can't see it. But you do have some pretty cool features where you're allowed to change your background. You can add your name like I always have. You could add the Stream Media logo in the corner. And then there's a lot of other things that you could do as well. There's probably things that I don't even fully utilize, but and I know that they are currently working on adding new features, so that way it's easier for content creators to share their posts or their videos to social media. So the way I'm able to share it through Facebook and everything, and I could share it through YouTube. I think they're working on being able to share it to like TikTok and going through Twitch and a lot of the other big social media apps and everything. So that will be more convenient. So if you want to get into that, definitely check out Stream Media and specifically the Stream Studio. Um, and let me know what you think. Let me know if you like it or if you need any help learning how to use it. I am definitely here for questions, although I'm not an expert, but I have been using it since April. So I can kind of tell you what I do with it, and maybe some of the other cool features that you can use, and then other things that they're working on. So let me know. But anyway, so with Avatar being directed by James Cameron, and if you guys don't know James Cameron, he did Titanic. He did, I think, the first two Terminator movies, and then he did, I think he did one of the Alien movies, or maybe he did do the first one. I don't remember, but I know he did like an Alien movie. But he's a pretty big director. He's been around for a while. He's done some pretty big movies, and I have to say, like, if anybody has seen Avatar 2, let me know kind of saw the Titanic influence in this movie, and there's like a particular scene that I felt that way, and I won't say what it is because I don't want to spoil the movie. But if you guys have seen it, let me know. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. Where I was kind of like, this is giving me Titanic vibes, and like I don't know why, but um I was like, yeah, I could definitely tell this movie was directed by James Cameron, and I just thought that was kind of funny that it reminded me of that. And it was like a specific scene, but I won't say it was. It's not like the whole movie reminded me of Titanic or anything, but there was just like certain moments in a specific scene where I was like, yeah, this is like Titanic. So it definitely makes sense that he directed this movie. Um, but yeah, like I said, overall, I really enjoyed it, and I am looking forward to see how they're going to continue the story because the way they ended it off, it's clearly setting up for a third movie. So, I feel like at this point, it's like you have to do it, even if it doesn't come out next year. If they wait another few years, I'd still would love to see it. But I think now, um, from what I've heard, I don't know if this is fully true, but I think the part of the reason why they waited so long to do a sequel was because James Cameron was I think he pretty much said that like he didn't want to just make another Avatar movie. Like he didn't just want to make another movie for the sake of saying I made an Avatar too. He really wanted it to be good. And I think a big part of that too was because the vision that he had in his mind wouldn't have been able to be executed back then because the technology wasn't there yet. And obviously now it is. Like you could see what they do with CGI and everything, and I'm sure they're creating newer, more bigger stuff for movies. So I think now that we have that, I think that he'll be able to do Avatar 3, probably like I said, if not next year, then the year after that. So I don't think we'll be waiting too long for 3 and 4. I don't know if they're going to do like a 5 and 6 or whatever. I mean, hopefully they don't overdo it cuz I don't really like when franchises do that when it's like you have a really good set of movies and then they just keep making movies just to it's like just to make money or just to keep it going, and I don't really like when they do that because I feel like that kind of spoils the movies a little bit. Saw keeps doing that, and Final Destination's kind of doing that now, and I'm just like, okay, you guys, like, you had a good bunch of movies and now you're just gonna keep going and going and going, and it's just like, do you really need to keep doing that? I don't think so, but that's just my opinion. So hopefully they don't like, kind of like just try to like push the movie too much in people's faces to the point where it's like, okay, we're over it now and we're moving on. So I think if they keep it at maybe like 4, maybe 5 movies, that should be good. I don't think they need to keep going after that, to be honest. Um but yeah, like I said, I think the third one should be pretty good, and it's definitely going to be a clear continuation of what happened in the second one, and that same threat that is in the really in the first one too, but in the second one is going to be the threat in the third one for sure. And I don't know if there will be like if there will be like two villains maybe, but clearly, like I said, clearly it's going to be a specific character going after Sully and his family in the third one. And like I said, I don't want to like say too much, um but yeah, like I said, you could just tell the way that they ended it and the way that like once the second movie hit the climax and then they were kind of going through all the fight scenes and everything, I kind of already saw what they were going to do, and I was like, okay, they're doing this on purpose. um but I won't say it wasn't really like a cliffhanger though. But like when you watch movies, you could just tell that like this is not the end of the story. Like there's still so much more that we can tell with these characters. And then, after the third one, I'm not sure if they're gonna keep the same main characters. If like with the fourth one, I know I'm kind of jumping ahead because like who knows when the fourth one will be out. But I'm not really sure if they're going to um like how sometimes when franchises keep going, eventually it's like the original characters that we've seen in the first two movies. Sometimes they go away and then they introduce new characters. I'm not sure if they're going to do that with Avatar, but I could kind of see them doing that a little bit, especially with now that Sully has a family and everything. I could see it starting to be a little bit more about the kids maybe later on. I don't know if they'll do that. But again, I don't want them to like just keep going just for the sake of going because then it kind of just like you just don't want to mess up the franchise because the first two have been really, really good. So I expect the same for the third one. So, um, but yeah, I think it will be good. I don't really have any doubts that it won't be. Um, and as far as like, which movie, the first one or the second one was better, again, I don't fully remember what happened to the first one, so it's hard for me to say. But I maybe would say this one was better just because, probably just because it's fresh in my mind. And like I said, I like the premise of it being about a family and them trying to protect each other and everything like that. Because, any type of movie like that, when it's like a family up against a threat or a villain, like, it's going to be some mess because everybody's trying to protect each other. And that's just like, that always, it's just like ammo for the villain to be like, ooh, I know what you guys are going to do because you're all trying to protect each other. Now I know how to get to you guys. And so I think those types of movies, it's always like, it kind of keeps you on edge because you're like, oh gosh, who's going to get hurt, who's going to get killed, who's going to end up in a bad situation. Like, you just know it's coming. It's like one of those movies basically. So yeah, but like I said, I feel like I've said this over and over again, but I really enjoyed the movie, so I do recommend you guys go and see it. Um, and since, this is the last podcast episode of the year, let me know what your favorite movie was this year. Let me know what the worst movie was that you've seen this year. It doesn't have to be in theaters, it could be on Netflix or Hulu or anything, like a TV movie, just whatever you saw this year. Let me know the best and the worst movie that you saw this year and kind of tell me why you think it's the best or the worst. I'm curious to see what people's opinions are. So, again, please comment. I like to see. People giving their opinions as well, and I kind of want to see some more interaction under my comments, whether it be on Facebook or on YouTube, wherever you watch me. Obviously, if you listen to me on Spotify, then you can't comment on there, so I would highly suggest going to my Facebook or my YouTube to comment, or you can even tweet me on Twitter, and I'll be sure to leave all my social media handles down below in the comments so you guys can have them. Like I said, I am trying to work on creating separate pages for the podcast so that way all of my personal stuff isn't mixed in, and then we can have like clear designated spots for you guys to interact with the podcast, and hopefully you guys will follow those pages. Of course, I'll let you know once I have them up and everything, but I'm hoping to have them up sometime next month. If not next month, in February, I don't know for sure. um And so I'll have a separate, I think I'll just do like a separate everything, probably like a separate Instagram, separate Twitter. I'll keep the same YouTube, and then a separate Facebook, I think is what I'll do. I don't know if I'll do a separate TikTok for it. You guys can let me know. I don't know if like any of you guys that listen it would even really interact with my content on TikTok. If you do, then I'll do it. But I think right now I'll just focus on the big ones, Facebook and Instagram, and probably Twitter as well. And then yeah, and then I'll have like a whole um I'll try to just like implement some new things for next year, just like I said, so I can kind of interact with you guys a little bit more, just so that I'm not posting only on the days where I'm going live. Like, maybe I'll try to feed you guys some more content leading up to the new episodes, and then kind of keep you up to date on what I will be discussing. And then that way, if you guys want to be on, you can let me know, and I'll probably maybe even create a separate email. So if you guys want to send in like comments or feedback, or if you want to inquire about being on the podcast, then that email will be there for you guys to reach me. And so, yeah, I have some ideas. It's just a matter of like executing them and making the time to do it, because I typically only have the weekend to really work on this stuff because obviously throughout the week I'm working. So, trying to get it together for you guys, and hopefully I will have something up for next year. And yeah, I think I'm going to wrap up this episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate any comments, any likes, any type of interaction that you guys give me. Makes me smile and makes me happy to see that. So please like all my videos. And then again, if you listen to me on Spotify, you can give me a 5-star rating on there. I don't know for sure on Spotify if you can leave reviews. I mean, if you can, I would love that. but I'm not too sure if that's an option on Spotify. But you guys can let me know where you guys can do it if you can. And then yeah, I don't really think there's any news that I wanted to update you guys on, but I will say Happy New Year to everybody that watches and anybody that comes across this video. Happy New Year to you. I hope you guys have a safe and happy New Year's, and hopefully pray that 2023 is a much better year and that we all um, that we're all successful and we all find happiness and all those good things. You guys can let me know as well in the comments if you have any resolutions. Um, I feel like I used to always say, "Oh, my resolution is this," but then it's like I wouldn't stick to it or I wouldn't even really do it. So, I feel like going forward, I probably won't really have resolutions anymore, but what I do still want to do is just have goals for myself or things that like I want to accomplish. So, for me, I would say I think just a continuation of like kind of what I've been doing this year. For me, I guess my resolution would be just to kind of go after things that I want, and not not hold myself back because I tended to do that a lot in the past. And so I feel like for this year I took a lot of chances and I think I really stepped outside of my comfort zone. So going into next year, I think I just want to continue to do that. And even with this podcast, this was like me stepping outside of my comfort zone, but I'm glad that I do it because I enjoy it. So I think just more of that for next year is kind of what I want to do. Um, and just being a little bit more bold, I guess, in the decisions that I make. So yeah, that would be my I guess my goal, one of my goals for next year. And you guys can let me know like what yours is, um, and maybe like how you plan on keeping up with it. Because I know a lot of people like they say I want to join the gym and I want to lose weight and I want to eat healthier and all that kind of stuff. But maybe instead of just saying you want to do that, I would say maybe write down or find a way of how you want to do that, how you want to keep up with it and be consistent about it, because I think that's where we kind of fall off, where we say, oh, I want to do this, but you don't have any type of plan or any type of way that you want to execute it. So um that would be, I guess, my advice, although nobody asked for my advice, but I guess that would be my thing of if that's kind of like one of your resolutions going into next year, is to kind of execute a plan on how you're going to do this. Um, but yeah, I think I'm going to, like I said, I think I'm going to wrap it up. Um, and before I go, just to remind you guys that my podcast is sponsored by Stream Media. So thank you to Stream Media for sponsoring this podcast. And if anybody from Stream Media is watching, hey, Happy New Year to you guys. And we'll be, continuing this next year. And hopefully things will be bigger and better. Like like I said, I'm trying to work on it, but it takes some time. So yeah, I'm gonna go, and I will see you guys in 2023. I don't want to say I'll see you guys next year because everybody says that and it's so corny. They're like, see you next year, and it's like literally tomorrow. But anyway, I will see you guys next weekend is what I'll see you. And to be honest, I have like a couple things that I was thinking about discussing for next weekend. I won't say what it was, just because sometimes it changes for me. But I think I probably already said this before, but if you guys have TV shows that you want me to get into, leave a comment and I will look into it. Now, there's certain streaming platforms that I don't always have, so I don't always have access to Disney Plus or what's another one, like Paramount Plus or like Amazon, stuff like that. Like sometimes I'll have subscriptions with them and then other times I don't, but typically I'll always have Netflix and Hulu. So if it's on there, let me know and I'll watch it. Or obviously if it's on cable, I can get into it. If it's on YouTube, I'll watch it. And yeah, let me know, because like I said, a lot of my TV shows are gone right now. They're not on, so I feel like I don't have like a good TV show to really get into and to watch every week. So once I have that, and I feel like it's good, good content for the podcast, I'll bring it to you guys, and then we can start talking about it. So yeah, like I said, just let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys next week. And again, hopefully everybody has a safe and happy new year. it's been really fun doing this podcast. I'm making it seem like I'm not gonna do it next year, but it just because I started it this year, I just did want to say like thank you to everybody that's ever watched and liked and commented and interacted with me. I appreciate it, and hopefully, we'll kind of keep growing it, and I'll see more of you guys interacting next year. But anyways, I'm gonna peace out and hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Bye bye.